This is the Technology Showcase. My name is Wes Wright. I'm the Executive Director of the NG9-1-1 Institute. We are an educational resource for the NG9-1-1 Caucus, members of Congress. It is co-chaired by Senators Klobuchar and Budd and Representatives Hudson and Eshoo. I would like to thank our board. I appreciate all you guys do, including Chris Freeman, who's here, who's the chair, and Susan Ornstein at Comtech, the vice chair. And then also our sponsors. You're going to hear from several of them today. With that, I will introduce our first set of speakers from T-Mobile and Friends.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see so many people here. So we're going to do a demonstration of how you can leverage stir-shaken technology and AI in order to prevent spoofing and swatting.
Individuals are falsely making calls to emergency services and triggering large-scale and armed responses.
What technologies are available to us today? The FCC implemented robocalling regulations. At that time, StirShaken was born. It helps recognize illegal spoofing.
There's an A there that indicates that this caller is fully authenticated. Now you take this technology and you couple it with artificial intelligence, we can actually have the system automatically route calls that may be perceived to be not authenticated to an automated system that further authenticates the caller.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll be hearing from AT&T, the largest next-generation 911 provider in the country.
We just want to talk a little bit about AT&T's public safety vision from end to end. In the gray is your originating networks, right? This is where calls come from. In the blue section, this is representative of the Next-Gen Core Services. We're the largest Next-Gen Core Services and ESINet provider in the country. We serve on our ESINet over 80 million lives. So if you're looking for and you're talking about providing the best public safety end-to-end solutions for your constituents, for your PSAPs, for your citizens, then you look at performance and experience. We are the only pre-built nationwide solution. If in the event there's an outage, we're using FirstNet to still deliver that call to the PSAP seamlessly.
Our next presenter, which is going to be Comtech, global provider of next-generation telecommunications solutions.
At Comtech, we're passionate about connecting the unconnected. Where Next-Gen 911 has been implemented, 911 service is more accessible, more reliable, and faster. More action is clearly needed to raise awareness for 988. 14% is too low. We meet Emily, who's recently moved from a Midwest state to the Washington, D.C. metro area. Overwhelming anxiety and depression have her in a dark place where she is seriously considering ending it all. Emily still has a nagging doubt and decides to call the 988 number that she saw on her bus that morning. Emily's 988 call is routed to her home state based on the digits of her old number. The counselor and the call taker are able to get Emily to share her city location and realize it's 1,500 miles away in Maryland. The call could have been delivered using location without disclosing location to the counselor. Geo-routing needs to be allowed to save valuable time.
Thank you, Stephen. Ed Parkinson from Rapid SOS will be our next presenter. Rapid SOS works with over 5,200 emergency communication centers worldwide and supports over 250 million emergency calls annually.
It's good to see you all here. And I'm going to give a specific example around rail safety. As many as you know, the East Palestine train derailment. This was a pretty remarkable train derailment that took place on the border of Ohio and Pennsylvania. There was a pretty remarkable amount of hazardous material that was released into the ecosystem. This was a traumatic incident that took place and something that, through a partnership with ourselves and Norfolk Southern, we're hoping to try and solve for the future. Responding public safety need to understand what they're heading towards. The chemical cargo that appears in there, the hazardous material type, all of this information being able to push out to the first responders across the ecosystem. Another important part of this is the ERG, the Emergency Response Guide number. There's a data point here regarding protective clothing. So what kind of protective clothing should fire response have? That's a crucial part of the multi-layer aspect of what Rapid SOS is trying to bring to the men and women in public safety today.
Up next is Steve Raucher from Rapid Deploy and Sheriff Troy Briggs. Rapid Deploy is a leading cloud-native platform for public safety.
This partnership here has kind of came forward out of a need by Western Kansas. We needed something extra to kind of bring about awareness, efficiency. For Kansas, what this brings is something that we can place in the field in the hands of the responders.
The radius mapping platform is what's deployed in the state of Kansas today. So we try and ingress the data that only matters for our first responders and our call takers and dispatchers. Floor plans from CRG and Geocom, Eagle View aerials. I want to put this data together in a meaningful way. We're in 911, right? If you need a map, second best is not enough. So this is a new paradigm. We've created a new category for the kind of first responder equipment that we're now providing. That if there is a weather event, and I have 2,000 boots on the ground from the National Guard and 500 people in state from FEMA, that'd be a way to rapidly onboard them and add them to the workflow seamlessly. CAD, that would take a year to add 2,000 new users, and our platform will take about 3 minutes.
Carbine and Karima Holmes will be our next presenter.
We are a cloud-based technology for call handling. Across every 911 center, we get those influx of calls where there's an accident on, the highway, and everyone with a cell phone calls 911. Well, Call Triage, what it does is it uses AI. You set the parameters. So if you say, if I have any accidents on these major highways, and it's already been sent to CAD, and if I get any calls within 20 minutes, 25 meters or 50 meters, depending on your jurisdiction, I want this AI to send a message out and say, hey, are you calling in reference to the accident on 95? So then the other piece that I wanted to bring up, this is two-way translation. Again, this is an AI feature. This feature picks up on the language that they're speaking automatically, so without the call taker having to say, oh, I think they're speaking Amharic or they're speaking Spanish. It picks up on the language. It starts to translate the caller in English to the call taker in transcript. And then when the call taker starts responding back to the caller, so, oh, okay, you have a sick kid, we're gonna get the ambulance on the way, it starts translating the call taker verbally to the caller.
Eric Caddy of NGA is going to present next. NGA is on a mission to provide unmatched peace of mind and equal access for everyone through its cutting-edge, cloud-based telecommunications solution.
Why are we in this business as vendors and as practitioners? What drove NGA's creation? What drove Don Ferguson, our CEO, to create NGA and our product line? Don is a technologist. He decides, I'm going to develop a NG core service solution that is completely compliant with NENA i3, and again, thinking about the time frame, 2014, I'm going to make it AWS cloud-based. That's kind of like blazing a new trail. There's the jungle, go figure it out. So today, NGA offers 6 products. I've talked briefly about our next generation core service line, which is our core service. We call it Nexus Core. We have Nexus Connect, that is our call handling. We have Nexus Analytics. It's really hard to break a paradigm and to shift the status quo. With that, if you're willing to, I would ask you to pick up the machete and come help blaze a trail. Thank you, Wes.
Next, we're going to hear from Access SOS that enables direct access to emergency help for the deaf community.
Both my parents are deaf. A few years ago, my father was home alone. He had a medical emergency. What we found out was his gallbladder ruptured. He was not able to call 911 for help because it would take too long to get a sign language interpreter on the line. At that time, text to 911 did not work in his location. And that's why we founded Access SOS. Just a few clicks, and you select from a list of critical emergencies, and we send that quickly over to 911. And if you're in a voice-only area, we grab all the information and send that to a voice call to 911, and it's 24/7, and it's fast. My father was able to survive his medical emergency because he drove himself to the ER. This is a solvable problem, and I want us to fix it together.
Our last presentation is from Lisa Dyer at the GPS Innovation Alliance. The GPS Innovation Alliance promotes and enhances the use of Global Positioning System, GPS, and other GNSS to benefit customers and users who live, work, and travel globally.
Behind the scenes, Global Positioning System satellites are playing a part. GPS-enabled coordinates are sometimes the most precise pieces of information that you can provide to someone. Many of you have heard about the report and order that the FCC signed about location-based routing. They're estimating that this will improve call time responses by up to a minute, and that it could save up to 13,837 lives annually. That's impressive, but if it's your family member, absolutely priceless. And we're proud that GPS can help play a role in that particular regulatory action, making it a reality.
Thanks to all the sponsors and presenters, many of whom are waiting at the booth. So we started some really compelling stories, interesting conversations that can continue. Please do mingle, and thank you, everyone.